Welcome back to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. And what a treat. Christmas comes early. The great B. Lynch, Browns defensive back coach Brand Lynch, in studio. B. Lynch, how the heck are you?
You know what, man? God is amazing, man. Hey, living the dream. And like a great mentor of mine said, like living the dream, eyes open.
Yes, sir. Always smiling. That's why it's always fun to talk to you. Obviously, look, we know big picture record-wise, we know that this thing has not necessarily gone the way you've wanted. You and your room can control what they can control, and this defense has been spectacular. Kind of as you sit here now, 12 games in, a little over two-thirds of the way in, what have you seen from your room in particular that you're excited about?
Sure. You know what? Competitive discipline. At the start of the year, Coach Kevin talked about like toughness, being competitive. I've seen those guys play extremely tough. They're extremely competitive. Shorty and I was talking last week about like what's the makeup of a great defensive back. And you have to start with competitiveness, right?
Yeah.
That competitiveness of being tough, guys that don't want the ball called on them, and then, guys that want to arrive violent, right? Like that's important to us on defense. So when you have that and guys that can play the ball, that can get the ball back for the offense and special teams, that's all you can ask for.
So as a coach, I have to imagine this has been a kind of a unique season for you in the sense that when we open training camp, and I'm going to put it this is my perception of it. Your perception may be different, but I think it was right based on what everything we saw. But when we opened training camp, you knew you were going to have Denzel, and then the next three corners would have been MJ, Greg, and Cam Mitchell.
Sure.
Okay? So MJ goes down early in camp. Mm-hmm. Greg's traded in the middle of the season. Cam, for whatever reason, did not work out and is not even on the roster. So for you, was this kind of a new challenge? Because you've been very lucky. You've had Denzel, Greg, and MJ for a few years now to have to adapt on the fly, get other guys ready to play, bring a new player in who we'll talk about later in Tyson Campbell. But how has this been for you? Because this has been a different season, and yet the play has stayed the same, if not improved.
A teacher's dream, and I say that, really fortunate to have those guys that help develop over those years. But teachers want to teach. And when you bring in new students that really want to do things correctly, that really like buy into what we, find important on defense, which is violent, guys that give great effort and that have passion. Like as a teacher, that's all you can ask for. And given the opportunity to excel. My dad is an old military vet. So he would say like given the opportunity to excel and be a subject matter expert. So, being, somewhat of a developmental guy myself as far as like always learning, always finding ways to improve your craft. Like it's great to have new students in so that you can develop that.
So that's been fun for you.
Extremely.
Yeah. How do you balance that? Because, it's one thing to get new students in OTAs, mm-hmm. but in season is different. And you even look, we mentioned the top of your room, the bottom of your room. We got two guys here, D'Angelo Ross and Sam Webb, who got here a week ago. So in season, how do you balance like that teaching with getting everybody ready to play on Sunday for the opponent of that week?
Sure. You know what? You got to simplify the complex. And simplifying the most complex things is really focusing on what's the most important to us. And to keep it simple, we keep throwing that out, but it's not cliche. We want guys that are violent, give effort, and play with passion. So when we're able to compartmentalize those things, like we put things in little buckets, like this is the 80 percenters. We call it the Pareto principle, right?
Okay.
So we really want our guys to operate in the 20% of things that we're going to call, we want them to be excellent at it.
Yep.
And if they can do that, that's 80% of what we're going to be responsible for on defense. So having a plan, having a developmental plan so guys can execute. And then also as a teacher, you got to leverage your resources. We have another great coach, young coach that's up and coming in, Coach Anderson. Uh-huh. So like really like every minute that these guys are in the building, like finding a way that those guys can, whether they're taking tests, whether they're watching film, whether they're going through signal quizzes that we'll give them. We just try to leverage all of our resources in the building.
You mentioned Coach Anderson. I don't know if you know this or not, but Dr. J in there. Dr. J, poke your head out for the camera. Dr. J played college ball wide receiver. North Carolina A&T, do I have that right, Dr. J? Is that right? Did I get that right? Yes, is he nodding?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so he was a receiver in college. So we have here, I don't know if you know this or not, but we have a flag football league.
Yes.
Okay. So Coach Anderson do you know what obviously you know what he did in college, right? He's a quarterback.
Absolutely.
So Dr. J's coming in here. We're getting his stat reports every week, okay? And they're not great. They're not great. Stat reports are not great. And you know what he does? He's like, the quarterback is garbage.
No, he ain't do my guy like that.
Your guy was a Division I college quarterback. A D1 college quarterback.
Respect.
Maybe the problem's not with Coach Anderson.
I tell you what, hey, defensive
Dr. J, you can come in here and defend yourself if you want. Or get him on the mic. Get Dr. J on the mic. Now, Dr. J and I had a throwing session once because I fancy myself as an amateur quarterback, Coach B. Lynch. I can still sling it. You've seen me sling it. And by the way, always available if you need me to throw the ball. DB's always available. But Dr. J did say now he's walked it back since and gave Coach Anderson his great props. Fair? We don't have headsets in, so we can hear. But he said absolutely. Dr. J, a fine man. But that's our connection, Coach Anderson. So he comes in and I'm like, wait, who's the quarterback, Coach? Who's your quarterback? And he's like, Coach Anderson or whatever. I'm like, wait a second, hold on. I'm like, dude, the guy was a stud in JC's and then went up and ends up as a D1 quarterback. I'm like, this guy's the real deal here. Let's not throw any smoke. So does he ever sling the pill around with your guys?
All the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
That's why you don't need me. You got me plus. I'm an old man now. But I'm always ready though. If you ever need to go to the bullpen, I'm here for you.
Get it.
All right, let's talk about this room because I was talking about Denzel. We've had some weird games this year, right? Like the Jets game, they threw 5 passes past the line of scrimmage in the entire game and completed 2 for 7 yards. Denzel doesn't even get targeted in that game.
Sure.
It feels like the ball rarely goes his way, but when it has, he's been there. I would give the example of the play against Baltimore where you think about everybody that's out there. We go, I think, cover 0, and he's got Tylan Wallace on his side, but they've got Zay Flowers and Andrew. They've all their other bigger receivers or more productive receivers, and they chose to go one-on-one with Denzel, and he blanketed it and locked it up. But it would be easy to not be prepared on that. They haven't thrown it your way all day, and you're like, no offense, this guy, he's a professional too, but this is probably not the matchup they're going to choose, and yet
Sure.
That's the one that they targeted. So how's he done in terms of just kind of staying prepared game in, game out on a season where it feels like, and the stats back it up as well, but teams are really not going at him like they had in years past. Maybe the New England game was the only game I can think of where the ball actually went his way a decent amount.
First off, urgency. And we talk about when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. So part of the turnover in our room, it's really catapulted him as obviously he's a senior, all-pro, great player, great person, right? But it really catapulted his leadership on what's important to us.
Yep.
And staying ready with urgency so that we can execute for the team's important. So, when we're on the sideline or when we're in the meeting room, really putting him in front of the room so that he can teach, right? Teachers want to teach, great players want to be great players, and we want to all rise our standard up. So he's a product of that. When he gets out there, he knows that, okay, don't grow bored. We talk about not growing weary. He's a great man of faith. So he understands, look, we can't grow weary because at the proper time we're going to reap a harvest, and he really embodies it.
And it's good to see, obviously, his shoulders feeling better because at the beginning of the year you could tell he was in the run game judicious with his contact, but now he's flying around. We had a play last week where he goes with the motion, man. They give it to him. He was outside the 40 on this side, runs it down on the other side, makes a good physical tackle. He's a physical corner.
Man, urgency to execute.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. All right, let's talk about the other side. You mentioned Violent earlier. I couldn't be happier now that I've gotten to know Tyson. I got to interview him a couple times, get to watch him play, the long arms, the willingness to take on Patrick Ricard in the open field, the willingness to go in and blow fullbacks up in the backfield, make plays in the backfield, he hits, and then he can cover with the best of them. And it's funny, whenever they do get a catch on him, which is not often, he's on the guy's back. It's one of those where it's just perfect throw and great job by the receiver. But for the most part, he's there, one of the league leaders in passes defense. He's got a pick 6 already. This is a guy who just came in. You guys threw him in the fire. He played basically the whole game against Pittsburgh the week he got here. And he got here. That was a Wednesday night trade, which I've never even seen before.
Sure.
I like this kid. You've got to be excited. And he's under contract for a few more years. So this is a guy that's going to be in your room now for a while.
Yes, absolutely love students that are motivated to excel. And that's very plainly put. You mentioned that with him coming in, a little bit over 72 hours, he's out there and he's executing for us. But that really talks about, the makeup of the young man. Great player, right? even better, successful person. Like, he's a guy that he wants to be extremely great in this game. You know, Coach Schwartz talks about, like, our standard is the best. That young guy wants to be the best.
He's got the clay.
Oh, my goodness. But then he also has the motivation to, like, get it done. You know, a lot of guys say that they want to be great, but then when you look at their habits, it may not match up with that.
Yeah.
He has consistent habits that are going to really help him in that, on and off the field. And he's a guy, like, since he's been here, he's made our segment better. You know, as a communicator, as somebody who takes the professional approach to what's important to us, it's really cool to see him out there.
You have basically the same vantage point at home that I do. You're up top. You're like, I think, 2 or 3 doors down from me.
Check.
So when you're up there and you're watching these things, and you're down on the field, obviously, during the games, but when you see, against Miami, for example, him run down Devin Achane, like, I thought Devin Achane was gone, and then he moves, and you watch it on tape, he moves at when Tyson ran him down, he looked like he was moving at a different speed than everybody else on the field. So you add the long arms, that gives him recovery speed, plus he's physical, he's violent, you probably think, my goodness, you guys just brought me, like, in my mind what I want here, and he's got to think, man, this defense fits me, like, to a T.
Oh, no doubt. And then, like, on that one play you're referring to, like, 2/3 of what's the most important to us, effort and passion, right? Like, and then the urgency to apply it.
And he got the ball.
Absolutely. Most important.
Yeah, he's an exciting one, and I think he's a guy who's just going to keep getting, it feels like, better. Like, he was meant to be here. It feels like one of those.
Sure.
Man, and it's one of those, you watch it on tape, and you're probably excited to come in. Oh, you liked him. You scouted him coming out of college. Like, I like him. But since he's been here, has it been even better maybe than you expected?
You know what? It's not even scratching the surface. And it's largely in part.
So you think he has, like, all-pro potential?
Without a doubt. You know, that's one of those things that, you know, AB and I was talking that week of, and we were talking about his ball production, the length, all of the traits that you talk about. And one of the things that AB talked about, man, when he puts it together, he's an all-pro player, you know. So improving our back-to-ball play, making sure that, you know, we can continuously arrive and violent in the run game.
Oh,
you know,
does that.
Because he's extremely competitive, right? So if we can keep leveraging that, and that young guy doesn't grow weary, which every trait that he has says that he will not, we have one.
I want to ask you, you mentioned, and you said it in your way, back to the ball play,
Yes.
which means finding the ball when
Check.
he's out there in perfect position.
Yeah.
And even that was kind of one of the, I don't want to say knocks, but that was one of the concerns about him coming when he came to us.
Check.
That first game against Pittsburgh, you even saw a couple times, maybe he didn't find it. It seems like it has gotten significantly better, and it's not even anything you're even noticing. His head's around and he's there. How did you guys work with him to get – because I've noticed improvement, and maybe you'd say you don't know what you're watching, but it feels like it. How have you guys worked with him on that in particular? Because it does seem like there's been a movement of the needle there.
Sure. And you know what? It's honestly making the complex simplistic. And when we say that, there are certain markers of the field that we talk about becoming a receiver.
Yeah.
So for us, like in our press, you get an outside release, we're playing the 9-ball first. And playing the 9-ball first, we know that, like, once you get through 9 yards, that's the 9 stop. Once we get through 15 to 18 yards, that's the back shoulder where we want to stay chest to chest. And then after 18 yards, we want to become the receiver. So he's a studious player who's extremely bright. So when he leaves those markers of 18, he knows that he wants to look up and back because he is the receiver. We kind of talk about that if we're at one of these guys' 7-on-7 tournaments, and, you know, J.A. played quarterback, you can throw the ball. Coach Lynch can't throw the ball as well as you guys. However, if I'm throwing the ball in one of these tournaments, go get the damn ball, right? Yeah. So becoming the receiver after 18 yards, this is just ball drills Coach Lynch is throwing them. Let's not miss a rep.
When you say that, so you say 9 yards, that's a stop. 15 to 18, that's when it would be back shoulder. Is that steps? Because it's not like they're looking down. So is that how do you take those markers into actually what you're doing in your technique?
No doubt, man. You know what? Like a bit of nerd talk. Like those are yard marks. And we break it down in phase 1, which is the line of scrimmage through 5 yards. Phase 2, which is the transition area, 6 yards through 14. And then after 14 yards, we say phase 3. So when we're looking at that, we have certain markers on where our eyes are to transition. So phase 1, line of scrimmage through 5 yards, we key the knee so that we can get hands on, we can disrupt timing and space. Once they climb into phase 2, which is 6 through 14, we key the hips for transition clues.
Yep.
So once we see that, obviously we can break back. But after that, we key the ear hole. So when we look at 14 plus yards, if that ear hole goes back, bam, you know that the back shoulder's coming right in between those markers. If the ear hole stays forward, it is the 9 ball. Race that guy to 25 to 35 yards.
That's good. That's good. I don't think people realize how hard playing corner is, especially you can't really put your hands on guys anymore. And think about all those things you're thinking about, which receivers ultimately, they have an idea. So they're going to try to give you some fake clues. The great route runners are going to make the back shoulder look like the go, right? Or the stop look like the go. That's fun, man. That's a fun battle.
But with you saying that, I'm going to tell you a funny story about Coach Schwartz, right? Because I played for him as a rookie. So I come in, this is after practice, we're running one of our man calls, and he pretty much said exactly what you said. He's like, guys, look, the receivers know where they're going. Every rookie's like nodding their head like, yes. We don't have our defensive line, which you know that our front's going to attack. He's like, man, so those guys are on time and in space, everybody's nodding. He said, that's BS. He says, we tell them where to go. So with that, we dictate and respond off what the receiver gives us. We try to tell our guys to be non-reactive, because if we're reactive, that means somebody's controlling what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So we want to really respond off those indicators that we're talking about so we can dictate exactly what it needs to be done.
I like it. It's fun to watch, certainly on the outside. And then this is one where Miles Harden, drafted in the 7th round last year, hurt for much of his rookie year. It comes into the preseason, certainly not pegged to be a starter. Comes in and gets tested. I mean, you go back to those Detroit and the Minnesota games, they're using late motions to take the 1 and bring him into 2 to get him inside, to get Jamison Williams, Justin Jefferson. We saw that a couple of weeks in a row where teams were doing that to get them on Miles. And Miles kind of answered the call. And I remember talking to him after those 2 games in particular, and you could see his confidence. He's like, all right, if I can run one-on-one with Jamison Williams and I can cover Justin Jefferson, and they're going to get theirs, right? But if I can do a good job, I can cover anybody. Sure. And you saw I felt like his confidence grow. And the compliment I give him is we don't call his name. Now, you obviously the next step is calling his name for ball production, but we're not calling his name being they got Miles Harden again. Sure. Or, and you think about, when he first came in against Baltimore early in the year, that was a kind of a little bit of a rude awakening. How have you seen him progress? And I mean that again, it's a great comment. You don't notice that Miles Harden is out there in a good way.
Sure. What level of preparedness? He's a guy that when his opportunity has come, he is prepared and he's able to show that on tape, and that's working with Larry. That's with, our Pat down there in the training room. That's with who he trains with in the off season. This is a young guy that really prepared for this moment, and he prepared for this moment ever since his rookie year. Just unfortunately, he got hurt. Had to learn some other things, right? Bit of a learning curve. He had a
great training camp his rookie year.
Oh, my goodness. Really good training camp.
Yeah.
But now when you see him out there now, this is a young guy that studies. We ask our nickels really to be like a quarterback on the field, right? So when we say trusted teammate, if we have anything that's not like it needs to be in the secondary, the first 2 positions that we're looking at is Miles, and we're looking at the safeties because he's lumped in that tip of the spear nerve center. Yep. And he's a guy, man, who has really leveraged that opportunity.
It's cool to see. Would you say that you've seen his confidence grow as well?
Yes, absolutely.
And that has to help you play fast, right?
Mandatory. But you know what? Part of us talking about our speed of play is you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? And he's a guy he studies. And realistically, keep it simplistic, right? What's important to us? Be as physically violent as you can.
Yep.
Give great effort, right? And then have some swag and passion about it.
Yeah, which is certainly fun to see. So this has been... It's been quite a journey for you, obviously, this year. You're getting to do all that teaching. Your room has been so productive. What do you want to see over, these final 5 to kind of close out the season for your guys?
Sure. I want our guys to really finish. We've been talking about, just like we talked about at the opening of it, when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. So regardless on where we are, when we're making a playoff run in December, we really have to do a great job embodying what's important to us, which we know are top 3. We got to do a great job stopping the run. We got to take the ball away from the offense. So in these last 5 weeks, I want to see guys really emphasize what's the very most important things to our defense and our team. And I want our guys to finish off tough and competitive.
Yeah, and I know that they will, because that's what you demand of them. We got to get one more pick for Denzel at least.
One.
He's had at least. I'm just saying we have to at least get. At least I said at least.
Check.
He's had at least 2. He's the only player ever to start his career. He's had at least 10 passes defense and 2 picks every year to start his NFL career. It's never happened before. And earlier, a couple weeks ago, he passed Joe Hayden for the most pass breakups. He got to 102 in Cleveland Browns franchise history. So he's doing awesome. But I want to make sure we keep that. They got to throw it to him.
I'm glad you said that.
They got to throw it to him.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. Something to think about. A little trap coverage in there or something. Get an easy one for Denzel. A little chip one there. All right. The great B. Lynch, thank you so much for the time. Always a pleasure, man. I hope you and your family are doing well. And let's go, man. Finish it up strong.
Hey, likewise, man. Love seeing you, man.
You too. You too.